This one looks super tough and expensive, has many true smartwatch features, but costs as little as a fitness tracker. The Kospet Pulse 2 tries to be really impressive, but is it really? Let's inspect. Hi, good to see you. I'm Michael, and I so much enjoy exploring tech and sharing these experiences with you. And also keep in touch in the comments down there, because I'm always here to help. This video is sponsored by Kospet. And as usual, I follow my rule and will not mask any downside that I figure out, simply because I'm very honest and open with the brand about my intentions and with you as well. So this here is called the Pulse 2. It is a rugged smartwatch, and given the extremely competitive price, you will notice some corners cut. So I'm here to tell you about the facts based on real-world use and highlight the strong and the weak sides as I see them. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with presenting you the health tracking capabilities, and I really appreciate the fact that Kospet are very open about the exact model of the biometric sensor used. It is a 4PD sensor and rather quite capable, covering heart rate, blood oxygen saturation, mood, stress, and sleep stages. The heart rate tracking samples are being collected every now and then. By default, it's a 5-minute setup, and you can tone it down to 1 minute, with the maximum increments being 30. Keep in mind that my battery life results are based on the 1-minute trigger. Accuracy is okay for the budget class, and I can state the same about stress and SpO2. Sleep tracking is on the good side, quite close to Garmin Fenix 8 when it comes to detecting sleep stages, though it is not among the most accurate wearables out there. Still, it's fairly detailed and well structured. One important note though, HRV is not visualized among the metrics, and it's one of the important data points needed for accurate calculation of sleep and stress. The workouts tracked with this watch are plenty. Many of them can utilize the inbuilt GPS. Signal is acquired very quickly, and the connection is very stable, so I'm perfectly happy with this aspect. The heart rate responsiveness, though, needs some attention. Yes, you will be able to recognize quiet moments and peaks, but the sensor will rarely catch spikes above 150 BPM, which are the more intensive zones. The default list covers some commonly used sports, and you can configure how they are tracked through laps, steps, distance, or other types of goals. There are certain sports, such as mountain biking or EMTB, that are completely missing, and I hope to see them appear after some of the next firmware updates. If I drill down to the details of a particular activity, I can draw a few conclusions. First, if it is a 3-hour session with GPS data, this clearly stresses the CPU because the watch becomes unresponsive for a few seconds while opening it. Second, the data is very detailed, especially when it comes to heart rate and speed, and the GPS input seems to be very accurate. If I may suggest an improvement, most cyclists care a lot about elevation gain, and I guess this would be an easy addition through firmware update. So yeah, the Kospet Pulse 2 is solid for workout tracking, as long as you don't expect Garmin-level drill down of data. The design and the toughness are, for sure, among my personal favorites about the Pulse 2. Kospet use their familiar-looking packaging. Here is the watch, and there also are some instructions, as well as the charging pogo cable. You can immediately notice the typical rugged design for the brand. It is thick and looks super durable, very much in line with their previous models. There are 2 buttons on the side, and good news, you can customize one of them. The body is made of polymer, the bezel is zinc alloy, and the display is protected by Gorilla Glass, plus the extra border coming from the bezel. The lugs, although seemingly made of some sort of plastic, look durable too, and you're free to use any 22mm strap that you like. The original one is flexible, quite comfortable, though for summer I'd always prefer something in fabric. And since durability is in focus here, I decided to see whether freezing the watch at minus 20 degrees Celsius would do anything to it. Technically, nothing. It still works, battery doesn't appear to drop any quicker, and that's a good reason to think that Kospet's model is gonna last. The technical specs combo is good too. The fact is that the Pulse 2 has a lot more in common with Kospet's higher-end models, despite the very affordable price. Including dual-band GPS, there are more than 170 tracked workouts, the advanced health sensor, the built-in flashlight, which I can show right now, like that. It's probably my favorite feature. And there's a pretty beautiful-looking AMOLED display. with Gorilla Glass for scratch resistance, and even a microphone and speaker for taking calls over Bluetooth.
Manage your A1 services digitally. Check your invoices, report issues, or get help from our chatbot. We've sent you a text message with a quick guide in English.
It also comes with advanced water and dust resistance, military-grade standard certifications, all of which, according to the brand, have been tested by SGS, one of Europe's leading independent labs. So you might wonder why it all sounds too good to be true. Well, there are certain corners cut. Let's talk about the display as a starter. Not that there's something wrong with it. It's AMOLED, and as you can see, colors are vivid, viewing angles are solid, and I feel the peak brightness is okay, especially given the size technology price ratio. But I do have my remarks. If you go to the display settings in the app, you can only customize the timeout period. And if you do this from the watch itself, there's only the extra option to adjust brightness. There is no auto brightness mode because the watch is not equipped with an ambient light sensor, meaning that you may feel a bit of discomfort at night, since it will work with a brightness level that you have adjusted throughout the day unless you develop a habit of toning it down before sleep or use any of the schedulers. Kospet have included a lot of good-looking watch faces, and there also is the option to use AOD mode, which I very much enjoyed too. The latter one has a direct impact on the battery performance. Fun fact, with AOD on and the wrist gesture disabled, the watch consumes less compared to a 5-second timeout with the lift wrist to wake enabled. And I very much prefer the first option, so to me it feels like Kospet did a good job here. The capacity of the battery sits just above 400 mAh, charging is via the Pogo cable and takes around 2 hours, and per day the watch consumes approximately 15% given my usual habits, which is 2 workouts per week with GPS, a bit of notifications, and basic tasks such as countdown timers while cooking and so on. So the battery life is on the good side. So is the software. The Pulse 2 has a very well-structured menu grouping, and you have a few different ways to arrange the apps. There are very detailed settings, deep controls on sound and vibration, and even sleep mode, which kind of solves the problem I mentioned earlier regarding the lack of auto brightness. Kospet even include their own battery health gauge. I cannot confirm whether it is trustworthy or not over time, but it feels like a nice commitment. Whatever you want to do on the watch is easy to find and makes perfect sense, though it is not as polished and buttery smooth as you'd get it on an Apple Watch. The other side of the software, being the smartphone app, happens through ApexMove, which Kospet developed for their Tank series. And there are plenty of things to like. Behind this rugged feeling interface, there are a whole lot of customizations, features, and well-presented data. Everything that can be extracted from the device is visible and easily accessible. If you look for the bits that make it different from much more expensive wearable solutions, I'd say it's the lack of wellness-oriented summaries, such as readiness and strain, and all the other recommendations you'd get from an Oura Ring or a Whoop band. But this is quite expected, and I know that there are plenty of people who are more than happy with just this raw data as long as it is detailed enough. So, drawbacks? Yeah, sure. There is no auto brightness feature, no LTE edition, no choice of different sizes, no space for storing music files locally, and the software could be slightly more polished, both on the watch and for the smartphone app. But in the end, Kospet have done exactly what I've wished to see in their Tank series a few months ago. They've slimmed down the price, kept almost everything else that makes good sense and is practical. For around $60, you're getting a very capable, rugged watch with a lot of smart functions, an awesome torch feature, and a battery that lasts close to a week without sacrificing functionality, plus the built-in GPS, which gives it the chance to become more attractive than even the Huawei Band 11 Pro or the Mi Band 10 Pro. And my opinion is that this time, Kospet nailed the balance, and this is a very easy to recommend device. As usual, I'm happy to hear your thoughts, so please comment down below if you have any questions. Happy to help, and you do not forget, this is just a review. I'm not going to ask you to buy the watch, only to use my affiliate link if you decide to. And remember, spend your money wisely only on gear that you actually plan to use and actually need. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Michael. Gonna see you soon.